Welcome
Still.
everybody. Yeah, still. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Cemetery Files. This is episode 22. We have a special guest, Miranda Young.
Ghost
I'm
Biker Explorations.
yes, I can't wait.
And why am I excited? Because she's a biker.
Yeah. So we've had a few things been going on since the last time.
hmm
Uh, didn't you have an investigation recently?
Recently was a client.
Okay.
I've got a client here in Portland that I'm working with that his place is very interesting. It's very, very gentle energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there, I talked to you about it on our pre-show call where we've got an entity that goes back and forth, that paces
Right.
back and forth, and
Okay.
he looks like he might be Amish.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, this is going to
Yeah.
be an
I picked up
interesting
on
one.
that
I don't,
too. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I don't know what's going on with that place yet.
Right.
Today's video from them was an orb that set off their motion sensor.
Okay. Okay.
So that was interesting.
Right. So, you have one tomorrow going to.
I do. I'm so excited. I got invited. It was a bucket list item for me to investigate a haunted location on Halloween. I wanted to do that all the time that I've been around for the last 13 years. So tomorrow night I will be at the Randolph County Asylum in Illinois.
No,
What's the name of the city? I can't.
Indiana.
No, Indiana. Winchester, Indiana.
Winchester. Okay.
And I will be investigating that location with End of Days Paranormal.
Nice.
I'm
And
so
you will
excited.
and you will tap me when I get home
I
from
will tap you,
my
yes, and see
my
what
uh
happens.
I have a Halloween special with the ghost tour in Lake Geneva where I live.
Nice.
So
They're gonna
after
make that
that,
an annual thing, right?
yeah. Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah. So it'll be a good time. But let's get to our guest,
Absolutely,
Miranda
yes.
Young. Let's get her
Miranda
on.
Young, Ghost Biker.
Here we
There she
go.
Hey
is.
guys.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey,
I
thank
have
you so much
my
for having
first
me.
question is how the hell do you carry your equipment on your bike? Or does somebody carry it for you?
Well, it depends on where I'm going. I try to keep things light. So I really pack and plan accordingly. I've created these little packets that I have that has static cameras in them, as well as
Oh,
several
nice.
different trigger items. And they're just these little packs that fit right in my saddle bag, and I'm able to go in there. Easy setup, easy tear down.
I
And
love
then
it.
if I'm traveling with a camera person, then the camera person will sometimes carry larger stuff if I need something bigger. But yeah, I mean, it really actually helps to not get lost in all the
I
confusion and
love it.
blur of the equipment. So,
I love it.
Mhm.
Sorry, I
yeah.
just jumped right in. I was so excited about it. It
No,
just,
no, that's
yeah.
fine. That's fine. No, so tell us a little bit about how you got started in the paranormal. I know it's a kind of a generic question, but with meeting you the first time, I guess we'd like to know.
Sure, absolutely. Everyone's got their own paranormal journey, and it's always fascinating to hear how people got started, because even though there's a lot of similarities, there's a lot of differences as well.
Hmm.
And for me, I really got into it from the storytelling side of things. I grew up here in the Appalachian Mountains of East Tennessee, and so spent a lot of time with my grandmother. When I was a kid, my grandma was in her early 80s. She was born in 1908, and so she grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, and she spent a lot of time telling me stories about some of the, as we call them around here, haints and boogers, which would be essentially the haunts or spirits and cryptids. Of course, it also depended on what holler you were from, because some of the people that they called the haints spooks, you know.
Oh,
Hmm.
So you
wow.
could really kind of tell where someone was from and how they were raised with what they referred to with the spirits. And so she always shared a lot of stories. She lived by the farmer's almanac, and, she planted by the seasons. And so I really grew up steeped in that culture and learning about that. And so I spent a lot of time in the libraries reading different stories about, haunts in the Appalachians and different regions, and then spend a lot of time talking to people and hearing their stories. My dad used to also spend a lot of time on the weekends. We would go back roads riding, and he would share a lot of stories of ghosts of the past, buildings that used to be in places, towns that used to be big, thriving towns that were no longer towns. So, those were things that really got me started on that side of the paranormal. And really, it just grew through my time. Going to college and then going off to work, I still would spend a lot of time reading those different stories. Like you may have something kind of targeted like Haunts of Birmingham or something like that, some of these local authors. And so back when just under 15 years ago, I was approached by a guy that I worked with, and he asked if I would look at some photos, and he saw that I had a background in photography. He was actually in HR, so he saw my background. So he reached out and he wanted me to look at some different photos that they had captured on some of their different investigations. He had been investigating at this point in time. I think he had a team for 6 or 7 years at this point. So they were, a very experienced team. And so I started looking at images, and really my goal was to take these images, find out the story behind them as to why that they had taken them on their investigation and how they had taken them, what cameras they had used, etc. And then really try to determine if we could figure out what this was in the pictures, if there was a logical explanation for them. So I did this for a little while, and then they invited me on my first investigation, which was of a local bar and marina down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And so I did this investigation. And of course, like a lot of people, I was bit by the bug after that. I had watched some of the paranormal entertainment shows that were on TV and saw that, Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters at that time. And, it was interesting to go in, seeing how it is on TV, and then going in and actually doing an investigation. And I'll never forget the first time I heard that EVP or had the flashlight react, or the first time I was touched. It was one of those feelings I couldn't explain, because you're there and you're experiencing this unexplainable behavior. And so I was invited to join the team. And so we went to a lot of commercial places. We also did a lot of residentials. We were essentially investigating at least, once or twice a month. And so I was with the team for about 8 years. I did their photo analysis. I also helped in putting videos out and doing marketing and such. But I was really going out a lot on my own, on my motorcycle, really any opportunity that I got to go out and really doing more urbex, or going to these locations and taking photos and sharing the stories about these unique locations on my social media. I was also riding my motorcycle to some of our local investigations that we were doing, and kind of through a joke with one of my friends, I was like, just call me the ghost biker. And she was like, I would watch that. And being that, I spent 21 years as a marketing executive, my mind is always rolling with marketing and stuff.
Right.
And so I sat down and designed my logo, and really kind of came up with the branding and a plan, and still wasn't sure if I was going to release anything, but decided I wanted to do it as a season and have all the stuff filmed in advance, and really highlight more places that aren't really over investigated, and also ones that have unique stories that go with them, to really help the location as far as getting a little more well known. And then also, even if we don't get paranormal activity, it's an interesting enough story that people might be interested to watch. And so I released my first season, and of course that was 6 seasons ago, and ended up stepping away from the team just so I could devote time to this personal project of mine. And really the rest is history, from going to doing that to now being a location co-owner, and doing it as my full-time job now. It's been a pretty incredible journey.
That
Wow.
sounds like it. I mean,
That
it sounds
sounds a
like you've just got, yeah, right. It's a dream. I mean,
Mm.
so
Doing what you love.
support-wise, Yeah, support wise, I mean, did you have a lot of support going into this, or were people kind of like, oh, I don't know about this, or were you surrounded by people like that?
Um, well, when it came to the team, it was something that I didn't really set out to go investigating, but I was real intrigued and I liked the opportunity to be able to use my professional background in photography to kind of see if we could essentially debunk or explain some of this.
Hmm.
And my family they were supportive in the fact that it was one of those things where it's like, what is this?
Hmm.
My dad was a chemistry and physics teacher, so he really looked at a lot of things from the physics side.
Hmm.
And I always liked talking to him about it to really kind of see if he could open some doors for me, just theorizing
Hmm.
and such. So and to have him be able to talk from a physics point of view, but also my dad was also very spiritual, and he was a deacon in our church, and he came at everything from not only the scientific but also the religious aspect. It was a really neat combination, because our faith is something that has always been extremely important to myself and my family. So there was the support of, they knew this was something I enjoyed. I don't think that they thought that it would go as far as it did, but
Hmm.
my dad ended up passing away in 2019.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And thank you very much. But he was my biggest supporter and biggest fan, and I think he was honestly surprised at how things progressed. And
Hmm.
so for me to be back home and running a location in my hometown, I think he would probably be there every day and have it open like the Cracker Barrel, sitting there talking to people as they
Right,
come up.
right,
Yeah.
right. So you could still take a lot of that information that you shared, those special moments with him, and you probably, I'm assuming you look back at those conversations and you probably think, what would Dad say? I mean, so
Absolutely.
you know, so having that in your corner and that aspect is something that's really important, especially with family, especially doing something that's paranormal or abnormal or something where people don't quite understand. But
Hmm.
I mean, me being in this, a lot of people I know that are into it and they're supportive. There's other people that aren't into it, that because they don't know or they don't want to know, and that's totally
Yeah.
fine. you know you're going to run into that no matter what you do, but
Yeah,
um you
to
know
each their own. And
mhm,
and it is, we're in a challenging area here in the middle of the Bible Belt,
mhm.
because you do
Oh,
have that
yeah.
conflict. You have the conflict between the religious beliefs
Yep.
Hmm.
and the spiritual or supernatural. But
Mhm.
on the flip side, we are in a very unique area as well, because not only most of the people are, even though they're religious, most are also spiritual.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so the fact that they may not be out and open about whether they believe in ghosts or not, but I can tell you, I've had so many people come up to me and say, may not necessarily believe in the paranormal, but let me tell you about something strange that I've
Mhm.
experienced or that my
Mhm.
family's experienced. So it's
Right.
an odd area
Mhm.
for that. But I gotta say, maybe the whole Southern adage prevails of, if you can't say nothing nice, don't say anything at all. Because even though some people may not be supportive, I've at least not had backlash. And to me,
Right.
I would rather take people being silent than taking people backlashing. They just,
Right.
if they don't want to be involved, they just don't get involved. But the support has really been incredible, if
Right.
not anything, just for the curiosity. And Kelly mentioned something earlier with being a biker.
Hmm.
My largest demographic is motorcyclists or bikers,
Nice.
Mhm.
and so there's no bigger, more supportive
Oh,
community than the
Oh, yeah.
tell me
biker
about it.
community.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and being able to have that in there,
Mhm.
that's been the thing that's probably honestly been the biggest support system for me, has been my biker community.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah. And having all those bikers that do support you, and you're talking about the Gramic, the area that you're kind of surrounded with.
Mhm.
You
It's
know,
an
it's just
interesting area.
right.
It
And I'm
I
sure you get
yeah.
people coming out of the woodwork and saying, "Hey, what are you about?" and this and that. "Hey, I ride a bike," and and this and that. I mean, so it's like a family. I mean, I've
Mhm.
known a lot of bikers, and
Mhm.
it's you own a bike, it's part of a family.
Mhm.
Oh,
You know?
absolutely. So many
Yep.
times I've gone riding. I ride solo a lot, but any opportunity I can get somebody to ride with me, we'll hop on the bikes and go. And I've met so many friends, whether it be stopping, at some type of attraction, or stopping at a gas station. A biker will come up to you and they're like, "What are you riding? Where are you
What do
going?"
you ride? Yep.
And so get a conversation going. There's always instant family or instant
Mhm.
connection
Mhm.
when you're at these events and people are on the motorcycles. And I just, to me, to be able to combine the two, it was really a natural fit,
Mhm.
because you've got the travel and you've got the travel aspect in both biking and paranormal.
Mhm.
But as a biker, it's not necessarily about the destination; it's about the trip there. And so, for me, it's a way to ground. It's a way to, really combine those two.
Mhm.
Um, I just feel like it was just a natural fit, and honestly, I'm surprised it took off as much as it did. But now I'm working with Harley Davidson on different events that I have each year,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, most of the
Yeah,
people
they're
that
very supportive of her. Very,
they
very
they they
supportive.
extremely are.
Mhm.
And what's been the best part is you were talking about people maybe not necessarily knowing, but whenever I have a different Harley event or a biker event, a lot of the folks, they may not have heard of what I do, but it gets enough interest that they want to
Mhm.
come in and see, and then also share their story. So it creates a unique and interesting space for
It's that
people to
I was
small
participate.
just
door
gonna
opens,
yeah.
that's all it takes.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Absolutely.
ask you how many bikers have come to you and go, "I got this ghost story."
Oh, countless numbers. And actually, some of the investigations that I'm going to be doing in the future or that I've highlighted on my series have been ones that bikers have come to me and said, "Hey, have you heard about this place? Have you traveled to this place?"
Nice.
One of the things I always tell people, I mean, yes, you've got your incredible, and I hesitate to even say it being a location co-owner, but you've got these amazing places like Lizzie Borden and
Mhm.
Waverly Hills, all these places that are
Mhm.
very well known. But one of the things I always tell when I'm speaking is that if you take a map, close your eyes, and touch anywhere on that map, I guarantee, regardless of where you touch, you're going to find somewhere that has an interesting and compelling story that needs to be shared and needs to be
Yeah.
Yeah.
investigated.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's
Nice.
and sharing these stories just keeps the history alive.
Mhm.
It doesn't let
Right.
it
Absolutely.
go into the dust and away in the wind. It's I that's one of the reasons why I got into it was to share the stories, to tell the
Absolutely.
stories.
Right.
And there's no stopping of it. They keep coming.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about your place that you co-own?
Yeah, so I co-own the historic Scott County Jail Museum, which is
Okay.
located in Huntsville, Tennessee. It's in my hometown. And so when I was a kid living there, the jail was actually in operation. It didn't close down until 2008, and it closed down at that point because they had built a new jail. Now, after it shut down, it sat vacant until 2017 when the town of Huntsville gave it to, or excuse me, when Scott County gave it to the town of Huntsville. They ended up getting a $75,000 tourism grant to fix the windows, the heating and
Nice.
air, to paint and kind of freshen it up. The mayor of Huntsville, he had such a great vision of wanting to restore this location, but he just didn't know quite how he wanted to do that. And so he had a lot of different offers from people, everything from wanting to open, businesses in their offices. I think even maybe a tattoo parlor or something. There was a lot of people who had come in doing presentations, and he just really didn't know what he wanted to do. And so in 2019, my dad passed away, and I wanted to move back home closer to be closer to my mom to help her. And so I ended up leaving corporate. Um, working in marketing there, stepping away, moving back here to the area. And so I reached out to my friend, Christy Sumner, there with Soul Sisters Paranormal, and said, the jail has sat vacant. They're not doing anything with it. I talked to one of the county commissioners. He had informed me that, nothing was happening with it. And so we got together and wanted to open it, not just open the doors for paranormal investigators, but because this was such a community building with such a rich
Hmm.
history, we wanted to make it accessible to the public, to anyone that's not just interested in the paranormal, but interested in history as well as following up on, just being able to go in, because true crime is something that's really big right now. And so, we reached out to the mayor, got a meeting set up, and I went to work designing um, merchandise. And Chris and I got together on a business plan, and the mayor and the alderman were all about it. And so we opened in September of 2021. We offered general daytime admission tours for the True Crime Museum, and then in the evening, we have after dark programs where we do flashlight tours, guided ghost hunts, and we've had over 125 private paranormal teams that have come in to investigate. And then we did end up expanding in May of 2023. This is something that had been about 6 months to almost a year in the making. We met with Historic Rugby Inc., which is about 20 miles from the jail, and partnered with them. And so we're over there after dark investigations, as well as after dark tourist program there at Historic Rugby as
Wow,
well.
That's
that's really
awesome.
awesome. Yeah, yeah.
That's
So it
awesome.
sounds like that you have quite a bit on your plate. So,
I do. I do. We're especially this time of year, we're tonight is actually the season finale of my season 6.
Awesome.
And so this season because I've been so busy, this season I've actually done every single episode live.
mhm.
And I've been investigating heritage museums, life, mountain life centers, that sort of thing. Anything that kind of has that pioneer museum or old
Uh-huh.
village. And so, I've this season I've traveled here in Tennessee, South Carolina, Kentucky, and Virginia. And then tonight, I'm actually, after we're done with the podcast, traveling to Kentucky for tonight's season finale.
Where are you
So
going to
Wow.
yeah,
be
it's
at
been
for
kind of
that?
different doing it live.
Where are you going to be at for that one?
You know, I'm actually going to be in. I could probably go ahead and say a little bit. I'm
Well,
actually
just
going
the
to be up
count,
in Renfro.
just the county.
Yeah, I'm going to be up in Renfro Valley area.
Okay.
Yeah. Tonight is actually somewhere special. I
Ooh,
am not the most of these locations have not been investigated before or have been investigated very little.
wow.
Last week I was in Appomattox, Virginia at Clover Valley Village there, or excuse me, Clover Hill Village, and which was a part of, you know, it's on the back side of the battlefield there. The week before that, I was at Haygood Mill in Haygood, or Pickens, South Carolina. And before that, I was up in London, Kentucky at the Heritage Museum there. And then before that, I was in Rugby, Tennessee at the historic village of Rugby.
Wow.
So we've covered everything from Victorian villages to
Right.
tonight. It's going to be an old home
Yeah.
place there in
So where
Renfro
where
Yeah.
Valley.
can people where is your show broadcasted
It's broadcast on the Ghost Biker Explorations Facebook page and the Ghost
at? Okay.
Biker Explorations YouTube channel.
Okay.
We're also, I believe it's also going on broadcasting live on Parapost, and it's
Okay.
Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And the
Okay.
cool thing we're doing about this one is we're doing the lives, and then I do a live follow up on Thursday nights where we
Hmm.
talk about it. And
Right.
then
Nice.
I'm actually going to re-release these episodes as produced episodes that's got footage that wasn't seen during the lives, because we are doing a
Oh,
Wow.
little
that's
investigation
nice.
too.
Very
Yeah.
Wow.
nice.
Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. So have you thought about maybe pitching your idea to a major network?
I have actually had contracts signed. I've been in 2 contracts with major networks. And to be completely honest, I'm glad that the first one we had signed, it was just before COVID. And so we were in a 9-month contract. We had multiple meetings with Travel Channel.
Hmm.
Um, but to be honest, I love self producing
Hmm.
because once you get with a major network, you lose control.
Yeah.
And
Right.
the brand of Ghost Biker Explorations, it's owned, trademarked. I really I'm really particular about
Right.
the
As you should
episodes
Good.
and
be.
such.
Yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, I'm more interested in like biker sponsorships and that sort of thing, and working with local tourism commissions and helping those locations in restoration. If I can use my show to do that, then that's something that's more important to me than a network, because I do feel as though
Mhm.
I would lose control of what I wanted to put out there if I'd gotten
Right.
with a
Absolutely.
network.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that a lot of that is where it's kind of heading now. Is there's a
Mm.
lot of paranormal teams that, yeah, they would like to have their paranormal team be on a TV show or have a TV show, but what they don't realize, like you just said, you kind of lose the rights to all that. I mean,
You do.
it's what they want to put out as content, and if you,
Hmm.
I can't say every network is like that, but in the general scheme of things, yeah, it's kind of like, doing it yourself, but you know what you're
Hmm.
doing. You know what
Yeah.
you're putting out. You know that you're in control of the editing. You're in control of all of it. And so it's like being genuine. It's and I'm not
Yeah.
trying to say anything bad about the networks. It's just the fact that there are
No.
different avenues and different ways that people can take, to try to make sure that they can keep their ideas themselves.
Well,
You
and
know what I mean?
it's about, with networks, it's about selling advertising. I mean,
Mhm.
that nothing negative
And
about
you
that.
coming from
It
That's
that
what
is.
it
It's
is.
that
totally, it's
area,
all
yeah,
about it. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
It
all about
Yeah,
selling
that
and
is
marketing. Yeah.
Mhm,
that's what it is. A show is
Mhm.
created based on its marketing.
Yep.
When you truly look at networks, that's what it is. The show, honestly, when you're looking at the structure of things, the show is the filler. Even though
Mhm.
we as consumers look at the advertising as filler, the show is the filler to the
Mhm.
advertisements. So it's about selling that. So you can't blame the producers
no,
and those
mm-mm,
folks, because they're just doing, when they're just doing what they've got to do
mhm,
to get people to tune in. Getting people to tune in gets people to buy the product, and so it's all about having all those eyes on those advertisements.
Right.
And
mhm,
so whenever you look at that, and I know of people who have shows and have been on networks, they catch some really cool, compelling evidence,
mhm,
but it's not always put out there, or they don't catch it, and they've got to have something to draw the people in. That's one of the reasons I like doing the show the way that I do. I was very, very particular about how I put it out. I try to keep my shows shorter. Now they've been longer with the lives
mhm.
because they're very
Right,
interactive.
right.
And as
Right.
long as people are helping me and interacting, I'm going to stay on. I mean, we had a 4.5 hour live the other
Ah,
night,
fabulous.
and we had 70 people on watching at the time, going back and forth asking questions. But as far as the actual episodes, I try to keep them between 20 and 40 minutes in length, so that somebody can sit down, they're not overwhelmed, and they can watch it while
Mhm.
they're on a break, or they can watch it while they're eating. Because personally, I don't have a lot of
I
time to
I
sit
don't have
and do
time
a
to
lot
sit
of
and
that.
watch them. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, everybody's like,
Exactly.
Watch my YouTube channel." I'm like, "I don't have time to sit down and watch
And you have
3
some
hours."
shows. Yes. And so I try to keep it 20 to 40 minutes. We got some feedback after the first season saying, "Hey, we'd like for this to be longer." So I try not to go any longer than 45 minutes. Each episode, with my formula, it's got 3 parts. The first part is the travel and the some information about the town that I'm in, to try to encourage travel
Mhm,
there.
Mhm.
This, as to why I'm there. The history is first and foremost important, and then the investigation. Now, trying to cull, 12 hours, 24 hours down to 20 minutes and still tell a cohesive story is a little bit of a challenge. But going in and showing, and we try to put the people in the investigation. They're either with me, I'm doing it vlog style, or I'm doing it with a camera person following
mhm.
me. But we show the things that are captured, but we also try to show that not something happens every minute, because to me, the things you don't catch are just as important as the things that you do. And it really
Right.
helps to validate that.
Mhm.
So, it's been a formula that's for me has worked well, because essentially I'm just documenting my journey, but and there's not the pressure. I was a little worried on the lives because you don't know what's going to happen, and
Right.
you want people to be entertained to watch, but you also want people to to see what it's really like.
Hmm.
And that's the biggest thing I've learned this season, is one, that people are very forgiving, because you get in there, and I don't like dead air, but you got to set up, and you're going
Right.
by what the people want you to do. So it's like, hey, we've got these spots we're going to investigate. You tell me what tools to use, you tell me where to go. And so while I'm doing that, people, and because we have internet issues sometimes, I had one night that my internet dropped out, and I went to pull myself back up on the live stream. I was gone for about 3 to 5 minutes. I still had 30 people sitting there waiting and watching, and I was amazed and humbled that people were that interested to do that.
Hmm.
So that's been probably the biggest thing I've learned this season from the live. But of course, it's different than, putting out a produced episode. And I just don't think, if I was with a network, I don't think I would have that kind of
No,
grace
I don't think
or
you would.
have.
No.
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 So maybe you need to create your own network.
I'll throw that into my timeline with
No,
everything.
I mean, you can laugh, but that's pretty much where you're going to keep all your content, and you're going to be able to do it, but you're going to also offer something for somebody, that wants to do the same thing that you're doing, but don't want to take the chance of doing it in a major network. You know what I mean? So just something
Yeah.
that I know it's crazy. It sounds crazy, but when I look at you and I see, man, she needs to make her own network, because seriously, just because your content is up there. You know
Thank
what I
you.
mean?
And I'm
So
looking at I'm looking at Miranda with the same thing, that when people suggest things to me, I'm like, and I'm going to find the time to do that
Well,
when.
it's
right.
funny. It's funny because so we run the jail, and it's between me and Chris, and so we split the day and the night tours and stuff, and we're open 5 days a week. And so I plan my investigations on my Tuesdays and Wednesdays when I'm off. And so but like today, I'm because I do the marketing and stuff, I'm able to work from home, and Chris is able to run the jail while I'm able to sit and do the marketing. But between all of that, with the investigations and all that, I also do freelance marketing on the side too. So
Oh
I'm always
gosh.
sitting here as stuff comes in. It's
Oh.
like, oh, I need to find time to do that, because, and you don't realize just how much time it does take as a content
Mhm.
creator.
Mhm.
That's why I'm always just so amazed and humbled. I mean, every week I do a live stream podcast, where I have authors and other investigators, location owners, on people who are doing things in the
Right.
paranormal. And I have the regulars that come on, and the regulars that watch the show every week. And I'm truly honored and humbled when people will spend their time, because time is so valuable, that they spend their time wanting to see what I'm doing, and
Hmm.
what my other content creators that put out there. And they're the best audience, because they follow the people, they watch the shows, they buy the
Hmm.
books, they go to the locations. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better group of supporters of the show. And,
Exactly.
I'm just always amazed whenever I tune in and see people that are excited to see the content that you put out.
Yep. Yep. That's what it's about too. I mean,
It's like well, the feeling that I get when I put something out, like when I put a story out, or when I put out, an experience or whatever, it's like it's sharing that story and having somebody appreciate it, and it's like, oh, it's going to stay alive with you too.
Absolutely.
yeah.
And it really excites me when people take those stories and they take them to heart, and they go and they spread them out. It's
Yeah.
just it's
Hmm.
wonderful.
Or you have somebody come up to you and say, "Hey, remember when I met you and you told me this? You
Oh.
told me that, and yeah,
Hmm.
and you remember those moments because of the fact that they're just that energy, that positive
Yeah.
energy, and that's what a
Yeah,
lot of
and
it is.
Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely. We just did an event. Excuse me. We just did an event in Kentucky, London, Kentucky, in mid-October, and it was a full-scale weekend. All the proceeds went to the London, Kentucky Shop with a Cop program. It was a partnership with the London Laurel Tourism Commission and with Harley Davidson there in London. And it was really cool because the only way I get anything is from the sale of my Ghost Biker merchandise from the meet and greet.
Mhm.
So we did a meet and greet that morning. We had people who had gone. This was the second annual. We had people who had gone to the first annual. They came by, saw us during the meet and greet. And then later that night, we did an investigation at a cave. And so we limited the number of people to 15 people just because we want it to be a good
Mhm.
experience. And so I know we had 3 people who had done the investigation last year that came back. And then on Sunday, we did a free motorcycle ride that went to the Pinnacle at Cumberland Gap.
Wow.
And so we also limited the number of bikes that we had on that ride, just because one ride we did, we had over 100 bikes, and that was not manageable.
Right,
No.
right.
And
Wow.
so, yeah, it was very, very intimidating.
That's like
But
the toy ride every year. Holy
yeah,
damn.
this was just a haunted motorcycle ride, and we had 101
Oh,
bikes on that ride. Now, on this one, we did limit it, and we ended up having 5 people who had done the ride last year actually came back and did the ride. Now, the weather kind of hurt us a little bit because it did rain a little bit and it was cold, so we didn't have as many as we would have liked, but everybody enjoyed it. And to have 5 bikes actually return
hey,
on
David.
a ride that we had set at 15 bikes. Um, I was really pleased with that, and I know that had the weather, been better, we had definitely had more probably return
You
people.
probably
Mhm.
had that at the end of
Um,
September, didn't you?
I had that in mid-October.
Mid-October.
Yeah,
Okay.
October
Yeah.
14th and 15th.
Yeah, we were
Mhm.
coming back from Vegas
Yeah.
and got caught in the rain. That was my first time riding in the rain.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, that was scary.
It's one thing when it starts raining on you, it's another to start out in the rain.
Oh, no,
And
thank you.
so,
No. No.
yeah, yeah.
Not
But it
unless
was a
I don't
patch
if I
ride.
don't have a timeline, I ain't going. No. It's right now riding in the rain is so scary for me that what if Gene just goes crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, what if that truck loses a tire? What if that car comes over here? It's like constant and people don't
Mhm,
realize how observant you have to be as a motorcycle rider. I
mhm.
mean, did you see that? Yes, I saw that, and I saw everything else that was around it.
Well, not even
It's
just that, but
hey
the
Larry.
paint. The paint
Oh,
is slick on the road when
yeah,
it
the paint
rains.
slick. That well, then they're doing construction out on 40, and
Mhm.
you've got roads that's been milled and rocks flying. Just people
Oil
don't
on the
understand
road,
oil on the road. It's
leaves.
just insane. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
It's
people
like
don't
hitting
understand.
glass.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And your motorcycle and tires just lose contract and lose traction and you're gone. So
Mhm.
yeah, but yeah, riding in the rain's hard, and I can understand why people didn't show up for that one because I would be one of the
We
ones.
yeah, we had, I believe we had 11 bikes out of the 15,
Nice.
and, which was a good ride, and we actually debated, even though it wasn't raining at the time, the Pinnacle is very technical as you get up to the top of it, and so, coming down is the more technical part because you've got all these curves, there's no guardrails on it, and, you've got the regular drivers that's driving up there, and so if the rain comes, there's a lot of braking and stuff that's
Yes.
going to take
Mhm.
place on these curves. And like I said, it's
Mhm.
just very technical. And so we actually had a conversation with Harley. We left it up to the riders, and we said, if it does rain, are you all okay if we get to Cumberland Gap, but maybe we don't go to the Pinnacle? And so we decided we were going to play it by ear as it got closer. And of course, we hit some rain along the way, and it was upper 40s was the temperature, which is
Oh,
cold on a bike. And so it was not
very
raining
cold.
when we got to the Pinnacle, it was not raining, and so we elected to go up there as soon as we get to the top. A nice little foggy rain comes, and so we were
Oh,
stuck up there for a little bit of time, letting things kind of calm down. But by the time we were ready to go off, The rain had stopped, but we did have a wet ride down. So we had, we leave it based on people's experience level. We did have one bike that did peel off and choose not to go up there because of the temperature and such. But every ride that I do, whether it be a haunted ghost biker ride, a Harley Davidson ride, or a ride with the jail, because we do host rides out of the jail.
Oh wow.
Um, we basically have a good conversation with people that it's like, hey, no pressure here. We keep the rides small so people aren't intimidated by, other people's riding ability.
Yeah.
And we tell them, ride to your ability. There's no shame in that. Go at your own speed. And, we're just going to have a good time. There's no pressure, no bravado, no ego when it comes to any of the different rides that we have.
And
And
that
it
And
works out real
that's
good.
really cool. That's
and
really
that's
cool.
something that I've discovered as a biker. It's like I'm only 2 years into riding a bike,
Hmm.
and I still have yet to ride with a group. And the thing that I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. It's like, no, I haven't ridden a bike. I haven't gone to a ride yet. But they're like, you're on a bike, you're riding,
Hmm.
and that's all that really counts.
Yeah.
And everybody is
Hmm.
so gracious and so helpful. It's just
Hmm.
it's amazing. The community that surrounds the bikes is
Yeah.
almost as supportive as the good community of paranormal. But I wanted to say, do you know the miracle of Ski socks? Oh yeah.
No,
Get ski
no.
socks for cold weather riding. Your feet will not get cold.
Oh, that is so
Ski
smart.
socks.
That is, I will
Yep.
have to do that because I ride
Oh
winter
yeah.
or summer, and I never winterize my bike. I mean, we're in on the Cumberland Plateau here.
Hmm.
We do get more snow than I got when I lived in Chattanooga, but we have a mild enough winter to where you can at least ride, a couple times out of
Right.
each month. Uh, you know, just if you don't
Right.
mind cold riding, and
Yeah, ski socks will do it.
most bikers
Yeah.
Yeah,
will
look
have to
into this.
definitely look into that because
See, I
even
need
at
to be an
60
Amazon
degrees, it
affiliate
gets
because
cool
I'm
on the bike.
constantly talking about ski socks, because ski socks are also good for cold locations with your ghost hunting too. They
Yeah.
just your feet will not get
Absolutely.
cold. It's amazing.
That's the smart thing. Honestly, I really parallel a lot of my ghost hunting with motorcycle riding. I
Mhm,
mean, because they're both very similar, not only in what you're doing, but also similar in method
mhm,
and practice. And, because when you are on a motorcycle, you do have to be aware, you have to
mhm,
plan, and you have to, expect anything to happen. And it really needs to be the same way when it comes to your paranormal investigating, because you need to be centered and grounded when you go into a location. You need to be focused
mhm.
on your task that you're doing. So really, like I said, I kind of parallel the two together. Plus planning for me now. When I say planning, I don't necessarily go in and say I'm going to hit this spot, and this spot. For me, I'm kind of slow when I go in because I like to go in and let the location
Yep.
talk to me and tell me where I
Hmm.
want to investigate, because every time I make
It
a
goes out
plan,
the
that
window.
plan is not
Yeah.
Mhm. Every
Hmm.
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
like the location I'm doing tomorrow. I'm just gonna take a mini kit up with me. I'm not even gonna take all my gear. I'm just gonna
Mhm.
go for myself and let the location lead me and enjoy myself. Do a personal hunt,
yeah.
because
Hmm.
it's been so long since I've hunted
Yeah.
without a team.
Yeah. And I think we're gonna do a live
Mhm.
tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll do a little bit of a live, or at least we'll try to do a little bit of live, because we should practice. And we'll talk about that offline. But yeah,
And I think that's fantastic. I was going to do my finale on Tuesday night, and I was worried with Halloween that I wouldn't, people wouldn't get to watch there. So that's why
good
I'm
idea.
doing mine
It's a good idea.
tonight. Yeah, yeah. Just in case, I don't know when everyone all around is doing all their stuff.
Yeah. Well, I've heard a
People do
lot of
different
things
things
for
on different
tonight.
days.
So, and tomorrow night I usually don't have any trick or treaters, so I thought, well, let's go do this bucket list item. Let's go hunt a haunted location on
Yeah.
Halloween. Woohoo!
I tell you, and plus this place I'm highlighting on my season finale, they are a working
Mm,
venue
Ah,
as well. So I wasn't able to get in, yeah, on Halloween.
hmm.
So I thought it just ended up working
This
right,
out
might have
better.
right.
to. This
Yeah.
might end up on the investigation list for next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, I'm still planning my next year's
Nice.
adventures, so that might be
yeah.
one of them. And we're going to visit you on the 11th. Yeah,
Ah, the 11th of
November. Yeah, K2PN is
November.
going to be out there on the 11th of
Nice.
November. We're very excited. Very, very excited.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we still have a few dates open for November and December, but
I was
not a whole
surprised that I
lot.
got a
And
date
so,
so soon, and it was on the date that we wanted.
yeah,
So that was amazing. And just
good.
it's the ease of booking the location is amazing. I thank you so
Oh,
much for
thank you.
making that
Thank you.
easy for people. And the dates, you could see all the dates on the calendar. You could plan what you wanted to do. It was perfect. Um,
Well, thank you. That's one of the things that both Chris and I have been investigating for a long time. And so we really kind of, excuse me, modeled everything like we
mhm,
would want as an investigator. And one of the things that I think is kind of a pain point with these locations is that you
Mm-hmm.
have to call, you have to go back and forth, you have to,
the
so I
price isn't
wanted something
clear.
where exactly we put everything out there, and I wanted it so that people could basically go on, they could book if they had any questions, they could reach out to us, but that it was really a seamless
Hmm.
process, as far as booking. So I'm glad to hear that
It was
you
wonderful. It
like
was really
the
good.
process, because that's something we put a lot
Yeah,
of
Yeah.
pride
it was
in.
really good.
So,
We're
how
very
far
much
do you
looking forward to
travel then on your bike?
I'll travel anywhere and everywhere. I don't really have a range. Now I try to for my season, I
Mm-hmm.
try to theme it, and so if I'm filming in advance, that sort of thing. But no, I'll
Yeah.
travel all over.
Nice. So, what's the farthest you've traveled on your bike?
I would probably have to say the furthest would be when I was
Did you
Oh.
filming
do an
down in
iron
Florida,
butt?
Central Florida. No, but I want to. If nothing else, I want to do a saddle
Oh!
sore, and yeah, if nothing else, that's actually been something I've talked about doing for the last little bit, and I've got two routes planned out if I decide to do a saddle sore. And for anybody that's not aware of what that is, that's I believe I think it's
I
1,000 miles in
No, I think
24
that's the iron
hours.
butt. I think the
Is
iron
that what
butt's
the
a
Iron
thousand
Butt?
miles in I can look it up. I have the internet. I have
Look it
the
up
internet.
because the saddle sore was what I was looking at, and it was from where I was located there in Chattanooga down to Key
Thousand
Oh,
miles
yeah.
in
West
less than
is one
1,000
option.
miles in less than 24 hours.
And then,
Is that the Iron Butt
That's
or
the
the
saddle
saddle
sore.
sore?
No, I'm looking up the iron butt.
That's what I was thinking. The other option on the saddle sore that I looked at was from going here out to it's almost Denver, Colorado. It's out in Colorado. And so you can also do from Chattanooga down to Daytona at Bruce Rossmeyer's Harley Davidson, and then circle back to your spot. But there's so many things you have to do, because you have to stop and you have to get the receipts at the
Mhm.
gas
To prove
station
that you
to
did it,
prove that
right?
you're doing that. Uh-huh. And there is a rest point that you do have to have, but it is a
So
thousand miles in
forgive
24 hours, and that's something I've
so
always
wow.
forgive
wanted to
me. I'm
do.
going to let's see Windows. There's the saddle sore. So there's several different ones here. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
there's the rides that we can do um as bikers. And my
Mm-hmm.
riding partner is a huge iron butt guy. He loves doing iron butts. And I'm like, nope, not gonna do it. So the iron butt
Mm-hmm.
is not on this list, but I'm seeing that it may be just like the saddle sore.
Yeah, because
Well, there's the butt burner,
yeah,
which is
because the saddle
2,500
sore.
kilometers in less than 36 hours. That's actually easier than the
Uh-huh.
saddle sore.
And so yeah, Yeah, it is. And so basically the reason I liked the saddle sore one is because they do have routes, that you can
Oh, that's
specifically
great.
do, or you can get an approved route from where you're at. And as long as it fits within that 1,000 time period, because I'm a night
I
owl,
bet.
so I think that I could no doubt do that. And I want to do it on my iron because my iron is not a comfortable motorcycle, and
No, they are
it
not.
no, it's
Oh,
just a little bit away from being a rigid. It's very rigid. It's almost a hardtail, and so one of these days I am going to do that. And I mean, even like the coast to coast ones that they
hmm
have, the Great
Uh-huh.
Lakes Challenge. I mean, there's a lot of really cool ones that they have. But yeah, one day I will go on
We
there
should
and
do
do
a
that.
ride out to Virginia City, investigate Virginia City, and then ride back.
There you go.
Works for me.
Yeah,
Right.
there we go.
I'll fly. Thank you very
You'll
much.
fly. Yeah, you'll
You
fly
can
because
you
I
can
ain't
haul
taking
our
riders.
equipment.
Yeah, right, right.
She's a
Oh my
single
god.
girl.
Yeah. I don't have a bitch seat on
I don't
mine,
have a bitch
so
seat on mine either. I took it off.
Nope,
I said
nope.
bye bye.
Nope, I'll fly. Thank you. Nope. Even driving that far would be a little bit of a drive. I mean, that would probably be yeah. But yeah, Virginia City is
I
one of my all-time bucket lists, that I wanna go I
yeah.
wanna investigate the Goldfield Hotel. I just wanna be able to walk
Mhm.
down the main street.
Goldfield would be all
There's
right.
Mhm.
so
I've
many
got better
different
ones.
yeah, there's different energies that are there. And I have an outstanding invitation from Michelle LeBaron, who says that
Oh,
anytime that
Michelle.
that
Yeah.
you want to come down, just hit me up and I'll give you the tour.
Mhm.
And
Yeah. She's a
so
good
yeah,
tour guide.
she is, and yeah, she's
Mhm.
so fun. I had her on my other show a couple years ago. She's so awesome.
She is.
So
She's
yeah,
pretty
Oh,
cute.
yeah.
She's a cutie
yeah,
pie.
Just any of those places out there are so much fun.
hmm
I
It's a
did an
different
event
type
and
of haunt.
it is.
I
It
think it's
is. I
because of the
didn't
people that went there. They're a different sort
Mhm.
of person. Um, I
Mhm.
mean, just think what it took to get from St. Louis to Portland as a parent, as a
Mhm.
pioneer. I mean, think what that took. And so it's a different kind of
Yeah.
feeling when you're in those buildings that are on the West Coast. Different kind of haunt,
Yeah,
different kind of
so many different haunts in the
Mhm.
different regions around the country. And we did an event with there in Deadwood, the spirits of Deadwood.
Oh, nice.
And I was honestly amazed at just how haunted these locations are. Deadwood, Tombstone,
hmm
Virginia City, all
Mhm.
these places. I'm amazed at how not overly investigated they are.
no,
No. Mm-mm.
they're not.
No.
It's just not a very saturated market out there in the West,
Mm-mm.
but amazing history and amazing stories.
Yeah,
It's
Amazing
just there's
history.
just not
I
as
love
many
anything Old
investigated.
West, anything to do with Old West. I'm a
Mhm.
big fan of Doc Holliday and this and that. I think there was one time when I was talking to somebody about I would have liked to have interviewed him. You know what I mean? Just back in the day in his
Mhm.
life, and I was just really thinking about him constantly. And I went to bed, and all of a sudden, right before I was going to sleep, his face came like right in front of me and was like, "What do you want?" And I was just like, "I was just thinking about you. That's all." You know, and I have that happen if I think about somebody too much like that. I mean, it's kind of like I'm tapping their energy, and I'm like, I wasn't trying to. I was just thinking about you. So yeah. But the old west, especially like Deadwood,
Yes.
Seth Bullock and that whole
Mhm.
the hotel and the history is fascinating. I've never
Mhm.
been there. Um,
It is, and I got to sleep in Seth Bullock's room,
oh
and
wow.
the money that for
Oh,
yeah, the money that this event raised, it was for Sacred Mountain Retreat, which works for our veterans, first responders, and Gold Star families, by having
thank you
them.
for doing that, by the way.
hmm
You're welcome. It was an amazing event to be associated with, and so we led an investigation at. It was a three-part investigation: one at the Bullock, the other at the Fairmont, and the other at the brothel Deadwood. And so I was stationed at the Fairmont, and I had no idea of the history that this place held, and
Mm-hmm.
to be able to go in there and still see the rings on the floor where they would chain the prostitutes to the floor.
Hmm.
Um, and that place was no joke
Mm-hmm.
when it came to activity and just history. And of course, all three of those buildings are located there in the Deadwood Badlands,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and so they were saying that it was like on average 7 people a day were killed in that area back during the Wild West
Oh
days.
yeah.
So it was a very, very violent area. And then, of course, we went up to Mount Moriah where Wild Bill and Calamity Jane
Mm-hmm.
are buried. So it was a cool event. We're hoping to do a second event out there. But again, I was just honestly, with all this history, I was really surprised at how few investigators are in that area or have
Hmm.
actually investigated those
Well, I,
Yep.
I
locations.
think
Yep.
it's also because we're so widespread. I mean, once you get to the East Coast, you got more people in in a smaller area. I mean, the ratio of
Hmm.
persons to locations out there, it's so vast, and you're
Mm-hmm.
driving
Yeah,
forever
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
just to get to a location. Especially if you're in Nevada. I mean, you can drive 100
yeah.
miles on roads that you don't see anything but cactuses and brush, and then here
Right.
you are in
Hmm.
another city. It's like, how
Right.
did you people
Hmm.
find this place?
Right.
You know,
Right.
Hmm.
Right. Right. So, and if
Yeah.
anybody's watching this, or viewing this, and you want us to go out to um,
we are
see
more than happy to.
Deadwood and Seth Bullock Hotel, yeah, you want to pay for it, send
Yeah,
us out
we're
there.
happy. Yeah, we'd love
Yeah,
to
we'd
go out
love
there.
to go to that
Oh yes,
hotel. Oh my gosh.
yes.
Well, they hopefully will be doing this again in September of next year. I know they're revamping, hoping to plan the event, a little bit different this coming year, or I mean next year. But I think they are hoping to do it again.
Yeah.
So as soon as
Very
we know
nice.
something, we'll definitely be putting that
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. It sounds like it's
And where
just.
are you gonna be posting on Facebook
Oh yeah,
for that?
yeah. I put everything there on Facebook, YouTube. I do have an event that's going to be coming up this Saturday night, and it is my last event of the year. I'm actually working with Haunted. Let's see, let me make sure I say that right. It is an event that I'm doing in conjunction with JB Coates,
Oh,
Oh.
and I
JB.
want to name. Yes, I
Yeah, I
want to
hugged
name
her butt
the
down at
it's
Nashville and went and hugged her big time.
It's Paranormal Adventures
Oh, cool.
Events, TJ and them. They're the ones that's hosting the event. It's going to be this Saturday night. It's at the Hotel Metropolitan, and it's
Oh,
called Harley's and Harlot's Mystery Event and Ghost Hunt. And so it's actually a murder mystery
yep.
event. They've got multiple tickets available, and so they're going to be doing. The ghost hunt first, but you can do the VIP, or excuse me, they're doing the murder mystery who done it
Hmm.
first, and then they're going to have an optional ghost hunt after. They're at I have never got to do the Hotel
Well, you
Metropolitan,
can't
but
get
I've
into
heard some
it.
amazing
I
things.
called to get into it, and they don't do
Really?
paranormal investigations. So plus one for them.
Really?
Yeah, last time I called, they
Okay.
weren't even going to entertain the thought.
Well, I knew a couple people who's done investigations there, but I never knew, you never know if it's one of those things somebody knows somebody
Right.
or
It
Right.
or
very
what.
well could be. Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, but it's going to be with JB Coates there, and I think that the Kellys are going to be there, Gavin and
Mm-hmm.
Paula. I think I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I'm very excited when TJ reached out to ask if I would be a part of this event. So that's actually my last event of the season, and then of course my season is going to be ending. Tonight's the season finale. We may have a little bitty surprise in there for after Halloween, but for right now,
Yeah.
tonight's the season finale.
That's
Right. Right.
awesome. Yeah,
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
so happy that you have found a place to express your passion and
Yeah.
to be able to do what it is that you love, riding the bike, doing paranormal, writing stories. It's kudos. Kudos, kudos,
Yeah.
kudos.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Most definitely. Most
amazing.
definitely.
Amazing.
So I think we're about at the end of the show.
We are.
So yeah. So
Oh, we got somebody
um
from the UK today.
Yeah.
We got Emma
Much
Jane
love.
from the UK. Yay.
Nice. So yeah, so thank you again, Miranda. We just
Hmm.
I could
Oh,
just sit and listen to you all the time. What?
do we
What?
get a preview of what Sally's outfit will be for tomorrow?
You'll have to, if you want to see, you got to look onto the Historic Scott County Jail Facebook page or follow her on Instagram under
Oh,
Sally
she
the Jail
has
Cat.
one. Oh, now I'm gonna have to go follow her.
Of
I'm gonna have
course,
to go
she has
follow
a
her.
castle and an
Oh
Instagram
my
account.
goodness. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
It just and to reiterate what I did when Chris was on the show, it's like that whole video of her getting put in the gift shop and the door closed.
Oh,
Oh, she was ticked off. She's like, "How
she
dare you
was,
do
and
this
she
to
goes
me?"
in there. Yeah, she goes in there all the time. She stays in there because we're there whenever
Mhm.
the teams are there. She goes in, she stays in there during the day. And so you can clearly tell. I mean,
Oh,
within
she was.
seconds of this cat
Oh,
being put in, oh, she was pissed.
oh
She
yeah.
was, yeah, and
She
she
was
never
not
does that.
happy.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No, we will close her in there sometimes whenever we have when we do tours and stuff. Most times she goes around with us, but every now and then we'll close her in there, and she's just fine with it. She goes in there, so clearly she was not expecting that and not very happy about it.
Mhm. Yeah, I can't wait to meet
Oh,
her next or a couple of weeks from now. Yeah.
nice,
Oh yeah.
nice. All right, so why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, Miranda, and we'll finish this up.
Absolutely. So you guys can go back and watch the past 5 seasons and part of season 6 on the Ghost Biker Explorations Facebook page and Ghost Biker Explorations YouTube channel. You can also check out Ghost Biker Exploration merch, events, and things that are going on www.ghostbikerexplorations.com. We are wrapping up season 6 tonight. It will be live 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's at least going to be a 2-hour live, and you can help me with the investigation by going and telling me where and what to do whenever we're there. And of course, we'll reveal the actual spot of our location, which is definitely one you're going to want to tune in for, because
I'm
this is
gonna
one
watch
that
it.
has
I'm
a
gonna
great
watch it.
history. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I'm excited to find out where it is you're
Uh,
going, what those stories are.
right.
it's it's going to be different, and so I'm actually, like I said, after we're done, I'm going to head up that way because I'm supposed to. I've got to get up there early in advance to kind of set up and
Mhm.
Mhm.
get my tour of the location. I've been there before, but never been there as an investigator. So,
Nice.
All
Very
right.
nice.
yeah.
So yeah, so
Very, very
everybody,
nice.
thank you for tuning into the show. We've had quite a few different people that chimed
Great
in
show
on our
today.
chats today. So you will find this episode uploaded on everywhere you get your podcasts, iHeartRadio or Google, Apple. So yeah, everybody, thanks again for a great show, and we thank Miranda, and I
Thank
thank my
you.
other host Kelly. Everybody have a great day, and we will see you next week.
Thank you all so much.